and our beloved attendees, the student of English department. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone, and good day to Karens and Catherines, because it's not morning there, right? So we're going to start our webinar today. Welcome on today's webinar on language teachings overseas. On today's webinar, before we start, we're going to hear a welcoming. It's been a tradition here in Indonesia, in where anytime we have this webinar and second session, we always have the dean of the faculty to share about welcoming part, about welcoming speech. And I would like to present the floor to Mr. Dr. Andes Muhammad Yaakob MPD Kia to have welcoming speech. Time and place is yours. Masih termute, Pak.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day. First of all, I would like to give my gratitude to invited speaker, Ms. Karen Scott and Catherine Sporit from Wyvern College, the Perth City, Australia. I am as a Dean of Universitas Samudra very happy to welcome you to our university, even though it's via online in Zoom meeting. But I hope one day in the future you can come to Langsa in person. We have so many tourist destinations here, and also we have the best food in the world here, such as mie Aceh, rendang, and rujak. Then thank you to all lecturers in English Department of FKIP Universitas Samudra for arranging this event. Thanks to all participants who attending this event today. I hope all my students here can learn more from your expertise and experience. And the important thing, I hope we can maintain the networking between Wyvern College and Universitas Samudra in the future. Without further ado, let's just get started with the main event, webinar on teaching limit overseas. I return to moderator. Thank you all. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Bapak Dr. Andes Muhammad Yaakob, as the Dean of Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, to share his welcoming speech. In case, like, we totally understand that in case you want to leave the Zoom meeting, in case like you want to do something else, so you're free to go. Thank you so much. And all right, so now we will continue with our main session today, in which our main session today is like we're going to have a great guest speaker today from far, far away, down under, Australia. And we're so excited to have both Catherine Spurry and also Karen Scott to join us today on webinar on language teachings overseas, especially in Australia. So first thing first, I'd like to invite, or I would like to call UPenn's Karen Scott to share about language teachings in Australia, especially Bahasa Indonesia. Time and place is yours, Karen.
Okay, thank you, Nizar, and thank you, Bapak, for the very kind welcome. We appreciate that very much. Hopefully one day I'll be able to visit Sumatra. Sudah pernah ke Pulau Bali dan Pulau Jawa, tapi belum pernah ke Sumatra. Mungkin pada masa depan. Terima kasih. Okay, so I am feeling quite nervous about doing this, actually, speaking in front of so many people that I do not know. And I'm not sure, and obviously being rather an old person, I'm not sure whether you're going to find it all that interesting. But anyway, please feel free to ask some questions as we go along. After I've spoken for a short while, Ibu Catherine will speak. She is our Director of Teaching and Learning. So she's one of the many women who have a leadership role at Whitefriars College. And that's interesting in itself. So please allow me to give you just a little bit of background to Whitefriars College. I hope it won't be too boring for you, but please listen into this because Nizar has spent a lot of time here working with us. He knows what the college is like. He knows what a special place it is. And I would just like to give you a little bit of information. Hopefully, my skills at sharing the screen will be okay. I hope. Let's see how we go. Share. Okay, yeah, I'm not very good at this. Nizar, I might need some help, I think.
Yeah, it's what
minimize this. Is it okay?
Yeah, is it okay? So maybe just like go to the screen view, like in the corner, like
where? Tell me.
Right corner.
Yeah.
On the right corner, you'll see the. Let me show you the. Give me a second.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Karen,
yeah.
if you go to slideshow.
Yeah.
And go, click slideshow and go from beginning.
All right, I hope it works. It didn't really like me doing that before. Terima kasih, Bu.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
So I thought I would just show you what our school looks like. We are kira-kira 25 kilometer dari pusat kota Melbourne, saya kira. So not that far, di bagian timur. So it is quite a beautiful area. The school itself is very pretty. The surroundings are really nice for learning, we hope. Oops, so this is where we are. I hope you can see where you are there. Nizar, can you see where you are? Is Sumatra coming up?
Yes, it's under the top island of Sumatra. So
yeah,
there
you can see it up there. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the city of Melbourne is very, very far away from you, where you are. It's quite a long journey from parts of Indonesia to Australia, especially to the city of Melbourne. I thought it was just important for you to understand where we are, where Nizar has been, where he completed his studies, and then his journey back to you again. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Whitefriars College. So we are a Catholic college. There are only boy students here. Naughty boys, cheeky boys, clever boys, and some really nice boys. And we are based on the tradition of the Carmelite brothers and priests. It's quite interesting that in about 1696, some Carmelite priests first visited Sumatra. And also, I found this very strange. Nizar, do you know Pak, the tradisi Pak?
Yeah, I know a bit. I guess one of our students come from that tribe, I guess.
Okay, well,
maybe.
One of our priests built a church in Sumbul many years ago. And he based it on the design of a traditional Pak house. And the local people thought that was quite unusual and they were a little bit nervous about that. So I don't know about that one. I've never been there, maybe one day. There is a Carmelite school like Whitefriars in Malang in East Java, and there's a very strong Carmelite presence there. And in fact, it was our Carmelites when they first visited Indonesia, who decided that our school must teach Bahasa Indonesia. Very, very many years ago. Nizar, is the language okay or too complex for the students?
No, it's okay.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
All right, so we offer 3 languages at Whitefriars. Bahasa Cina, Bahasa Indonesia, dan Bahasa Italia. Yang paling populer adalah Bahasa Italia, because a lot of our families have family in Italy, so it's quite popular. So when our students are young, in year 7, so maybe 12, 13 years of age, they start year 7 and they choose 2 of the languages. And they do 1 study semester of each. At the end of year 7, they only choose 1 of those 2 languages, and they then have to study that language in years 8 and 9. After year 9, so when they're around 15 years of age, they don't have to do a language anymore. But if they do, they can choose to study it to the end of school. I recorded 2 of my students speaking a little bit of Indonesian for you. I hope you'd like to have a listen to it, and I hope it's going to work.
Oh, that's lovely.
See how we go.
Yeah.
So this boy is in year 8. So he has had he's been doing Indonesian since February this year and 1 semester last year. So he's quite new.
Sorry, we cannot hear the voice.
Aaron, if you hit the share screen button,
Yeah.
just make sure down the bottom share sound is ticked.
Down the bottom of,
If you've clicked on share screen,
yeah. I've got a
And
green button there.
a window that pops up.
Nope. Where?
If you click share screen,
I'm on share screen. Hang on. Stop share.
Yeah,
Sorry,
try
let's
again.
go back to again. So sorry.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's all right. Click on share screen.
Yep.
And then down the bottom left-hand corner, you
Bottom
need
of what?
to the share before you picked that one to share. So go stop share.
Yep.
So share screen.
Yep.
Down the bottom of this window, bottom left corner.
Share sound, got it.
That's it. Tick that there, and then click your window.
Thank you so much. I'm hopeless at this. Okay. Coba lagi ya.
Saya suka cricket. Ready? Hai, nama saya Sammy. Saya tinggal di Melbourne. Umur saya 13 tahun. Saya anak kedua. Saya suka cricket, bola basket, dan Netflix.
Okay.
Ready?
Whoop. Get out of there. This student is a little bit older.
I think I know him.
Hai, nama saya Cameron. Umur saya 15 tahun. Saya tinggal di kota Melbourne. Ada 5 orang di keluarga saya anak kedua. Saya belajar matematika, sains, agama, bahasa Inggris, dan bahasa Indonesia. Mata pelajaran favorit saya adalah olahraga. Di waktu luang saya bersepeda temannya saya, berlari dengan ayah, membaca buku, dan menonton televisi. Selamat tinggal. Hai, nama saya Cameron. Umur saya.
So you remember him, Nizar?
Yeah, I think I remember him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So many birds in the background.
Yeah.
So noisy. Okay. All right. Just for a few minutes, I would like to talk to you about the great things the great opportunities that are available with teaching, connected with teaching overseas. Now, I don't know what your goals are as students. I obviously would understand that you must be very dedicated, you must be very motivated, you must be very clever and hardworking to have gained a place at university. So congratulations for doing that. And I do wish you all the very best with your studies. I would like to talk to you about some of the great things about teaching overseas. So obviously it would be a very, very different lifestyle. I'm mainly talking about, I guess, Melbourne and Australia, because that's what I'm familiar with. But wherever you go to work, you will find the lifestyle is very different. And that is fantastic as well. Nisa, is that understandable?
Yes, it is.
Okay. You would have the opportunity to meet a lot of new people in your professional role. You would develop contacts that may be temporary, but could be very long lasting. And that's always a wonderful goal to have. In order to be able to move overseas and to teach overseas, you would have to be already strong. Your capabilities would have to be fairly strong in your subject area. Your English skills, if you wish to go to a country in which English is the first language, you have to come to us with good English skills. So it's very, very important. It's also an opportunity to contribute to what's going on in the world, as in being able to connect with people throughout the world. Doesn't matter where you are, you can still maintain connection with colleagues back in Sumatra, or with people in the United States, or people in Germany, wherever it might be. The whole idea of global understanding and connections is important. It's becoming increasingly important. And I'm sure you are much more capable and aware of the value of social media than I am. So that's a big bonus for you. When I teach another language, I really like to look at differences between the countries that I'm teaching, whether it be Germany, Indonesia, or wherever, and Australia. I like to talk about the differences, but also the similarities between countries. And this, to me, really opens up a great understanding and a great spirit of cooperation between various nations. You would have the opportunity to do that. Imagine finishing teaching your first English as a second language class. I'll just wait till the bell finishes. Imagine finishing teaching your very first class to a group of non-English speaking students, but you are teaching them how to speak English. You've got through your first lesson with them, and you would have such a great sense of satisfaction in what you've achieved. That sense of satisfaction is quite special, and it makes an English language teacher in another country quite a unique person. Great for you to know how education systems differ in the world, and you would have to be ready to adapt to these differences. Kath may speak a little bit more about our curriculum, for example, here. Please understand that you would be very unique in your role as a teacher, and upon your return to your own country, you would be in a position to have had an experience that many other people would not have had. And that can be a wonderful positive for career advancement as well. Nizar, is it okay if I go on to the challenges now and then I'll finish up? Do I have enough time?
Yes, you still have more time actually. If you want to go and continue with the slide, it's fine.
Okay. This is the final slide I prepared, and this was the hardest slide to prepare. This is all about the difficulties and the challenges. And I really feel that it would not be fair of me to tell you how fantastic and how easy it would be to move from your culture, your lifestyle, your family, and your security to another country to teach. Yes, there would be challenges. And part of your success would depend on how you manage these challenges and how well prepared you are for them. The changes in lifestyle, that's the main challenge at first. And that's something that's very important. Sorry, I've just got a group of students outside here who aren't aware that they're making a lot of noise. You would like to teach mathematics or science or economics, English, Indonesian, it really doesn't matter. The teaching of those subjects, you will have the knowledge of the content. You are university students. You are completing a degree. The most important thing is that your communication skills are strong. Sometimes it might be hard to develop some friendships at first, and also to work out professional relationships within a school. Could I suggest that straight away you find a person to be your mentor, to be your helper, to assist you? And jangan malu. You must ask questions. You must step out of your comfort zone. Now, in other countries in the world, student behaviour can be a little bit tricky. In a boys' college, for us, the boys can be a little challenging sometimes. You need to have your strategies worked out, and that's where you need some assistance as well. Can be a challenge, not just for teachers from overseas, sometimes for local teachers. There is no caning in Australia. We have to use different punishments. Now, languages, unfortunately, the study of languages at senior levels here is not as popular as it used to be. So that is of concern to us, and that is realistic. You would miss your family and friends so much at first, but once again, you have access to social media. The world it's so much easier to stay in touch. They are all the challenges that I think you would experience. If you came to Melbourne, okay, Niza can tell you the weather is not good. Kadang-kadang ada 4 musim dalam 1 hari. Today, it is about 12 derajat, I think. Okay, that is all that I would really like to say. I've talked for quite a long time. I don't know how useful that was, but would be happy for any comments or questions. I'll stop sharing now.
I'm sure they're really useful, and thank you so much for sharing those insightful slides for us. And should I continue with Catherine first, and then we open the question and answer later on?
Okay.
Okay. So, Miss Catherine, I give the floor to you to share a bit about language teaching and curriculum in Australia. Thank you.
Terima kasih, Niza.
Sama-sama.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to have a go with a little bit of bahasa that I do have. So this is a little bit rusty. Saya tidak berbicara bahasa Indonesia. I'm actually a French teacher working here at Whitefriars as a school leader. And I'm very pleased to be able to speak to you about the parts of learning that I find very exciting, and that is about curriculum. And Karen will probably laugh, but I thought I would start off today just by sharing with you some data about language learning in Australia, just to build on what Karen has already shared. So on my screen at the moment, what I've shared with you is some enrolment data about the number of students in Australia in the last 10 years learning languages. And it's very small text, but in summary, what we're seeing is that languages and their enrolments in all languages is decreasing in number. So when we have a look at Indonesian here, in 2021 in Australia, there were under 700 students learning Indonesian. So it's quite a small number of students overall who finish their senior school, or their secondary school, their high school learning with another language. But there's a good news story here, because here in Victoria, where we live, we actually have a very high number of students learning Indonesian. So 2/3 of the total number of students who finish high school learning Indonesian, they live here in Victoria. So the state the furthest away from Indonesia in Australia is where the Indonesian language is the most popular. So if, as Karen said, you are thinking about working in Australia, teaching Bahasa Indonesia, then there is a good chance that you will come to Victoria, because we have a real need here for teachers of your language. The other thing that you need to know as well is that at the moment in Australia, and Karen will nod at me, I'm sure, when I say this, we have a real teacher shortage. It's very difficult to find qualified teachers, not just of languages, but teachers of all subject areas. So if in the future you are thinking about coming to Australia to work as a teacher, we have some tricky requirements in terms of recognising qualifications from overseas. But at the moment, it is probably the easiest time in history to get a job here in Australia teaching, because there's a real shortage of teachers graduating from university at the moment, and many jobs advertised, and particularly in languages, a real shortage. So I'd encourage you to think about that opportunity for your future as well. So yeah, so I've been talking about Indonesian being a very popular language in the context of our country, but particularly here in Victoria. And one of the reasons why language numbers in Asian languages has been encouraged in Australia is, in the past, the Australian government used to provide funding for schools to teach Asian languages. Unfortunately, that's now no longer the case. So when you have a look at the data about student enrolments, we see that since that funding has stopped, the number of students has also decreased. So schools are putting less emphasis on language teaching and the importance of language learning, because they're not receiving as much funding from the government in terms of funding languages. So that's a real problem. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you about teaching in Australia, I'm just going to check this is still sharing, beautiful. So in Australia, we have a national curriculum. So on the screen here, I'm showing you something that might be of interest if you were keen to better understand what's being taught in different countries in terms of languages. So here in Victoria, in Melbourne, many students will go to primary school and will learn a language for 7 years at primary school. But when they move to secondary school, they often start a new language. So for example, my son is in grade 4 and he is learning Italian at his primary school. But when he goes to high school, there will be 5 languages to choose from. And so Italian actually isn't one of those languages. So he will start a new language when he goes to high school in year 7. So what it means is, as Karen said, our year 7 students are complete beginners generally. They don't often come to our school with any background in Bahasa Indonesia. They might have learned Japanese or maybe Mandarin or Italian or Spanish, or sometimes even Australian Sign Language in their primary school. So on my screen here, I have a resource which is telling us as teachers what students should be able to know and do by the end of the first 2 years of their language learning. So over here on the left-hand column, it tells me that after 2 years of learning Bahasa Indonesia, students can share factual information and opinions about their personal and immediate world. And then they give some examples. So the other thing about our curriculum is that it tells us as well some examples of the types of language that students might be able to use. For example, they might be able to respond to questions starting with siapa, apakah, berapa, and so on. So what it helps us to do as teachers is to know that whether you teach in this school or a school down the road or a school in a country area a long way from a major town, or if you are in another state, it helps us to all be really confident that we are teaching and giving every student the chance to move towards the same knowledge and the same skills in their second language. So let's say one of Karen's students that she filmed before, say Cameron, who was the second student. If Cameron's family moves and they travel somewhere else in Australia, that Cameron will be working towards the same standard, whether he lives here in Victoria or whether he lives in Queensland or maybe in Western Australia or in New South Wales. So it helps us to all be working towards the same goals for our students. So I'm not sure if that's something that you've come across before, that different countries' documentation might be available on web pages, but certainly here in Victoria, we use a curriculum framework which is published online. So you can go and have a look at it. You can get a sense of, okay, what might a student be able to do after 1 year, 2 years, 4 years. The other thing to know is that perhaps as a first language speaker, you might be looking at this and thinking, oh, that's not too much. You know, that doesn't seem like very much. But one of our challenges here in Australia, and perhaps it's the same in your experience in Indonesia, is that there is a lot in the curriculum. So lots of things to cover. So students here would learn English, mathematics, science, history and geography, drama, music, visual arts. Let me think, what have I missed? Languages, technologies. So there's lots of things that they learn at school. And so what it means is that you get a small amount of time for each of those subjects. And unfortunately, and I know Karen will agree, that what it means for language teaching is we don't get a lot of time with our students. So we don't see them regularly and we don't see them for big chunks of time. So progress is slow. And it can sometimes feel like you're not getting anywhere with the learning because students are sick, students are on holidays, students have other excursions or school activities. So it can be a real challenge for a language teacher to feel like our students are making progress and they're stepping forward in their learning. because there is a lot to cover and there's not very much time. So it's a bit of an obstacle for us, isn't it, Karen?
It certainly is. Certainly is. Yes. Yeah.
One of the other things I thought I would talk about, just in terms of my own experiences as a language teacher, which might be of interest, is that there are some schools in Australia who are thinking about how they might bring languages and other subject areas together. And so I'm not sure if you have heard about, it's called CLIL, C-L-I-L. And I know Karen has had some time experimenting with this approach as well in this school, but it's an approach where teachers might teach history, for example, in the Indonesian language. So if you're in your reading, you might see that it's the students together in the same classroom. So in Melbourne, there's not a high number of bilingual schools in Victoria necessarily, but there are a few. There are none in Indonesian. They tend to be European languages, don't they, Karen?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, we could be trailblazers, couldn't we?
we could start a bilingual Indonesian school. Be great. We'd have to go to Indonesia, Karen.
I know.
What do we could call it? What we call that, professional learning.
Yeah, I think we should go tomorrow.
Yeah. We're happy to welcome you.
And then there are so many lectures wanna help or wanna assist you, or then we can do much here then. Thank you.
Sorry?
So just, I suppose from my point of view, I don't have much more that I was going to share. I just thought it was important for the students to see a little bit about the context for Indonesian and language teaching in Australia, to understand that we have a shared curriculum that is across the country. And yes, if that's of interest, I can pop it in the chat perhaps, so you can come and have a look at it if you would like. It's a very long link, my apologies. And yeah, I think that's probably it from me.
All right, thank you so much, Catherine. So that was really insightful sharing. It's about language data enrollment and also Australian curriculums, and also it's about clear content language integrated learning. So some of the students also learn about this concept here at university, but they haven't had any experience yet to practice these methods in the classroom. All right, so I think right now we're going to have to open questions and answer sessions. Do you still have time, Catherine and Karen?
Just a few minutes. Kath, I'm in class now. What about you? You've got a meeting too, I think, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I've got 10 more minutes.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So we're going to have like perhaps 2 or 3 questions, just a quick one. So maybe, is there anyone here want to ask a question to Karen and Catherine for after they shared very amazing insight? Okay, we got Alpha Rizzi. Okay, Alpha Rizzi, please go ahead. You may start speaking.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I would like to say thank you for the insightful presentation to you both, Karen and Catherine. I just got one question. Either of you can answer this. Right. So there's like this trend in Indonesia where loads of people are applying for work and holiday visa. And I know that those people are mostly just work in farm, picking berries and stuff. But like I was just wondering if if we can actually use this visa to work as a teacher there. And I know that, you know, the visa doesn't really specify which type of work you can do while you're there, but it has like a 6 months limit. So I was wondering if there's like any schools there that would actually hire you just for 6 months, you know. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not across in terms of visas necessarily. I'm just having a look on my second screen, Alpha, to see what I could find out for you. It seems to be that teachers can apply under the skilled workers program. So I've just done a quick Google. It looks like their visa subclass 189, 190 or 489. I'm not a lawyer, an immigration lawyer, but that would be worth finding out. The other thing about coming here to teach is that you need to obtain teacher registration. So you need to have transcripts, and you would need for the local authority to confirm that your qualifications are recognised here in Australia, which can be a bit of a slow process. However, one of the things I do know from having worked in a different setting to this one is that there is a real need for skilled language assistance in schools. And so one of the ways in which some schools are getting around the difficulties of having overseas teachers' qualifications recognised is that they are employing, rather than employing you as a teacher, you're employed as an assistant, and then there's always a teacher accompanying you, and that might be that you are responsible for the language sort of instruction, but the other teacher is responsible for student safety and behaviour management, for reporting to parents and so forth. It's a bit of a messy one. In spite of the fact that we really need teachers, it does sometimes feel like it's a very slow and arduous process for overseas teachers to come to Australia. There are also, I think it would be important to contact, if you were planning to come, say, to Victoria, you contact the authority here, which is the Victorian Institute of Teaching, and get information from them about registration to be able to teach here. You want to make sure you get that right before you make the commitment to come across.
All right, thank you so much, Catherine, for answering this question. So I'm going to take one more question from Judira. So Judira, go ahead.
For Mr. Nizar and for Catherine and for all of you guys, I'm happy to be here and meet you, even though we are far away and just looking at the screen, you know. So I think because of this college just for the boys, so I can't join it. So I just need the suggestion. And Catherine said that we in Indonesia have a lot of language, right? So absolutely yes, but if we could speak in English, I think we just can be smart people here and then to be center of attention in Indonesia, absolutely. So for sure, I just need a suggestion for all of you guys, because in Indonesia, challenges language in our lifestyle, of course there is, because in this place itself, when we communicate with English, someone said like, what you are talking about, you are so too much or something like that. So it's really hard to speak in English, and absolutely me really and never speak in English for about 5 years before joined in this English education lecture. So what's your suggestion for us to make our language, English fluently than before? Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Can I just say, I think your English is fabulous.
I agree. I agree.
You've got a very interesting accent as well, though. Like, the English is fantastic. Look, it's probably a little bit like the Bahasa Indonesia that we speak here and we teach here is very formal.
Okay, thank you
It's
so
like
much.
the language of your grandparents and your old auntie and uncle. That's what we teach. So I would say for you also to listen to as much spoken English as you can find, not American English, nice English, or even some Australian English to start to get the, there's nothing wrong with American English, I guess, but just some very good pure pronunciation, expression, etc. But I can just say that you just said you hadn't done English for 5 years before you went to the university. You're doing brilliantly. You must be working very hard at the university. It must be a fantastic university because the English is wonderful. Is Nizar your teacher or your lecturer?
Yeah, still lecture.
Ah, okay. What a wonderful docent, yeah?
One of them. One of them. All right. Thank you so much, Karen and Catherine. So before we end this session, because I totally understand like the time is about coming almost up, but I'm just like going to invite the final head of the faculty, so head of department, to give a closing remarks only. Okay, I'd like to call you upon Ms. Fatlia. Time and place is yours.
Okay, thank you, Nizar. And thank you, Miss Catherine and Miss Karen, for a very insightful experience and then a very grateful opportunity for us to have you guys here as to give, I think, a bit of horizon then for our students and then to inspiring them. It is so inspiring. Thank you so much. And then I want to say is that this friendship will be continue. And then we have 4 lecturers here are graduated from Australia. 3 are from Melbourne. So I graduated from Latrobe. Nizar, 2 are from Monash, and then 2 now is pursuing PhD in Adelaide. And we have we hope Pak Nizar and others will come to Melbourne, experiencing Melbourne, meet you guys, volunteering in prior college. If we have opportunity, we would love to. Even that's only the volunteer opportunity then.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would love to send the regards from the Dean of the faculty. Mr. Jacob is very excited to give the opening speech. He is trained and then try to give his best for the opening speech. It means that that we are appreciating this friendship so much. And then I said thank you, and then we hope that this friendship will be continue in the near future. Thank you, Miss Karen and Miss Catherine.
Thank you so much. That's lovely. It's been our pleasure. Yeah, it'd be great if we were over there and could do it face to face, but this will have to do. And so lovely to see so many young faces studying at university and so many girls. Well done, girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd just like to wish you much success and much happiness with all of your goals for the future. So thank you for having us, and thank you for your kind words.
Yeah, thank you so much, Karen. Thank you so much, Ms. Fatlia, for closing remark, and also thank you, Karen. Thank you, Catherine, for becoming one of the guest lecture for today's session. We learned a lot from you, so you're free to go if you want to go. And one day if you come to Sumatra, please visit us.
Would love to. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Baik, I think that's it ya, Bapak Ibu semuanya. I think we have finished our guest lectures. I know that it's written about 2 hours, but our session is really short because like last 1 hour actually is their time break at school. So they have 1 hour break, so they give that break to us instead of having lunch. And then they still have another 2 hours at school, and then they're gonna go home after that. So I think that's it for today's session. Thank you so much for your participation. Is there anything else you want to add, Ms. Bu Fatlia or Ma'am Effie?
the attendance list.
Oh, the
Anyone
attendance.
sharing it? Yep. Don't
Please.
forget to get it on your attendance list, because that my lecture session will be marked from there, from the TOEFL and curriculum development.
Yeah, same with second language acquisition. Yeah. Anything else dari Ma'am Evi atau Pak Fatlia? Sorry, Pak Fatlia. Pak
Atau
Surya
dosen-dosen lain, any
Bu
yang mau
Rani mungkin.
ngobrol atau
Kalau tidak ada, bisa saya end Zoom meetingnya.
Yep.
Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for the participation.
Yeah, isinya.
Wait.
No, I mean the one sentence, not
Oh.
just good, but you must say write something related to the topic today. What the speaker say, not just good, nice, or another expression.
Oh.
and I think that will be marked by Pak Surya then on the writing session.
Yeah. Anyway, if there is nothing else that anyone want to say, so that's it for today, everyone. Thank you for coming, and hopefully that we could learn something from today's session. Hopefully we could have another sessions one day with another guest lecturer from overseas. And that's it from me, and that's it from all the lecturers. So you can leave the meeting. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Terima kasih Pak Surya, terima kasih Bapak Ibu.
Izin love semuanya.